Welcome to EGO NetCast. I am Martin Lindeskog. Hi, John Daniel Kelleher.
Hi there. You've pronounced that really well.
I did?
You can call me J. Yes, you did. You can call me JD.
Oh yeah, JD. So how are things and what are you thinking about right now?
How are things? Things are good. Here in London.
Yeah.
And what I'm thinking about the technology that we're using for us to speak to each other at a time of global crisis.
Yep.
With you in Sweden and me in London for free and in really high quality. That's what I'm thinking about, I guess.
Yeah, it's great.
What are you thinking about? What are you thinking about?
I'm thanking Jonathan Dahl, that is coordinating all these connections with the artists and singers and songwriters and in this showbiz. So that's great. Because
that's exactly what actors and singers and songwriters and showbiz people need.
Yeah. Right. So we'll continue with that and talk about this issue and other things also. So we talked a little in the green room about your origin and where you're located, and that will come up in a search results. I did a search results on your full name,
right?
And then I got like 678 results, and then
surprised.
I got a question there. Are you an author also? I know then now that you're an artist and an actor. But have you written something in text?
No,
also?
No, I'm not an author.
No, so that somebody else then.
That must be another JD.
So then I searched on JD, and then I got almost 20,000 or 19,300 results.
Right.
On videos on Internet Movie Database.
Okay.
So that will come back to your acting.
Yeah.
Facebook, agency and management services, Twitter, LinkedIn, and there you are a company director at International Actors of London. Could you tell about that?
That's right. I am indeed. International Actors London, because as you know, I'm an actor as well as a singer and other things, photographer, other things.
Okay.
But I've been an immigrant actor to London since around 1992, and about 10 years from Ireland. And about 10 years ago, my Irish friend and I decided to start an agency representing primarily immigrant actors to London. And we've been doing that now, running that business from our homes for almost 10 years. And that goes from strength to strength. And we're very busy right now. But yes, so we specialize in the kind of the immigrant artist experience, I guess, as an agency, and share some of our own experience to enable others to follow a creative path in London.
That's great to hear. Could you say, because I'm both American in spirit and an Anglophile, drinking tea and so on, would you say that the United Kingdom has some inspiration from a melting pot in the United States of America? Because when you now say immigrants and foreigners, I mean, I see everyone as an individual. I don't really care where you're coming from.
Right.
Depending on what you're... Depending on what you're thinking about. But did you feel that coming from Ireland, going to London, England, that's, how to say, far away? Or do you see my drift here, where I'm coming from?
I do. Well, yes, I think I see where you're coming from. I was 21 or 22 when I crossed a very short distance from Ireland to the UK, but a very large distance in socio-cultural terms, maybe. Is that what you're talking about? And I became a part of the mix, the international mix of British society. And I think some of your question was, how does that relate to the USA? It comes down to immigration and history. And in fact, this comes up in one of my music videos for a song called Somebody Nobody.
Yeah, I heard that. Watch that. Yeah. Could you tell a little bit about that?
Well, that deals with the in broad strokes, the idea of immigration, and it starts with Irish immigration to America. And of course, that's being an Irish person, that's a starting point for me. It's part of my history.
Yeah.
But immigration from Ireland historically has gone one way or another. It's either, across the Atlantic to America or across the Channel to Britain. Britain being no more familiar than America to an Irish person, in many ways. Certainly, say 100 years ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, the immigrant experience, the diaspora experience, is something that comes up in, I suppose, in my work as an artist. I'm an immigrant artist, and in my music, and Somebody Nobody is visually, at least, a reflection of that whole immigrant or refugee or traveler experience, kind of embedded into a love song or a song of longing to be with someone you love.
Interesting. It's an interesting take on it, and thoughts about this, how to cross different borders.
Yes.
And different markets, because I believe in the free market, and that you should be able, if you own your life, you should be able to travel wherever you want.
I agree with you.
As long as you don't are a threat to somebody.
Yes, as long as you don't harm anybody.
Deadly disease or want to do some bad things.
Yes, and contrary to popular belief, Sweden is not a socialist country as such, is it? It's
we could have a discussion.
Well, we could.
I'm not.
But I'd rather talk about ABBA
and Sweden. Yeah, and that's what I like. ABBA is a good thing from Sweden, but no, in a way, it's not. It's how to say? It's a mixed case. It has been socialist and social democrat, and this the whole system that's now is how would you say, shackling and rumbling and so on. And where you had this image of Sweden, but everything is perfect, especially Swedish things. Right? So that's not the case. But it's not a socialist as it was in the past either. So if I would say so, in some ways it's going in the right direction. In other ways, it's going in the wrong direction. So I wouldn't call myself. I'm neither party or something like that. But here in Gothenburg, Sweden, it's lots of things going on, and there it's good to see new political forces that's trying to take care of that and point it out in a positive way. So that's good.
Great.
Yes.
So you believe in a free market?
I can't pronounce it in French, but I'm laissez-faire. Let it be,
laissez-faire,
So that
laissez-faire, casual attitude, wear it loosely like a loose
and
garment.
That's my take on it, because I'm a friend of America, an American spirit, but I see how, in what way it's going totally wrong, and there are no real alternatives either side. So so somebody will win, but all one. Or everybody will lose in a way. But in the long run, I believe in the American sense of life and the founding fathers and the melting pot.
And what do you mean? Okay, and the melting pot, that's a good way of putting it, yes. Where symbolized by the Statue of Liberty in New York.
Correct.
Yes, I believe, like you do, that people should be able to travel and, and be free and make a life for themselves. I think there's a lot of demonization of refugees in our modern world. Yeah. But it's the refugees of the past that have built the great cities like New York and even London.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I got very upset that back in the day when this guy called a religious person called Buchanan, he was trying to take over one of the alternative parties in America. I think it was Independent Party, and he was very, blaming immigrants and others. And you wonder with his name, Buchanan, where are his roots from?
Well, that sounds like an Irish name to me, actually.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah. So of course, Irish and Irish. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Continue.
No, I was only going to say that Irish and Irish American are kind of two kind of different cultures now.
Yeah, it is.
Many Irish Americans have never been to Ireland.
No, it's an interesting power play. But and talking about I studied in America in the East Coast in New Hampshire, and when we went to a brewery in New Hampshire, and there they had a special stout talking about the famine and what's going on, what's happened in Ireland. And it was a special date on that.
Yes.
It was very good stout. And talking about that, coming from Ireland, what's do you like Guinness and other brands and stout like that?
I mean, if I was a drinking man, which I'm not anymore, because I stopped drinking about 20 years ago, and I won't shy away from the fact that I needed to stop drinking 20 years ago, but that's a whole other story.
Yep.
But in my drinking days, I would drink a pint of Guinness, but after 2 or 3, it feels very full.
Yeah, you get beer and bread at the same time.
Guinness and bread.
Yeah, you get in the Guinness, in the beer, it's like fills you up. It's almost tasting like bread and beer. That's
well, I'll tell you another way to say that is there's both eating and drinking in it.
Yeah, it is. But talking about that, because it's a serious thing, and I again believe in freedom for all adults. So you decide if you want to drink or not with alcohol, and it's okay if you don't want, and you can have bad experience. And that's my guess. But in your field, in acting, in showbiz, because I have a question about that. Another singer that have been very open with that. So we will come back with that. But nowadays, beer. I had a Boston lager or what's it called? A Brooklyn beer microbrewery in from New York, so-called alcohol-free. It is a little 0.5.
Yeah,
and it's tasting delicious.
Right.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even.
But back in the day, yeah.
I wouldn't even drink a 0.05 alcohol. It has to be zeros. Psychologically, for me, it has to be 0.0 alcohol.
Yeah.
So I drink other things.
What do you drink? What do you like?
Is it okay to mention the brand?
Yeah, you're
so
welcome.
I drink Fanta.
Yeah.
Fanta Orange. But the sugar, but Fanta Zero, no sugar.
Yeah. Do you
cut out sugar, people?
Do you remember when? Yeah. Do you remember the version with Fanta Cola?
No, I don't remember that one.
Did you have that?
Sounds wrong.
That was so good.
No, it sounds wrong.
Yeah, it was not for a long time, but yeah, it was from
I don't
Coca-Cola.
think I'd be able to get it now, would I?
Yeah, no, you should try it. So we do over that. Yeah, this show is not sponsored by Coca-Cola, but I'm all open for it. But there I make a matter of choice, as you said, with sugar. We'll come back with that, and I could talk about that again. Do you have with your career? Because I listen to your music and try to take it in, and it is in a way not my cup of tea, but on the other way it is.
Okay.
But on the other way it is. I heard your cover of Joy Division, because I'm an old pop liking electronic music, synth pop music, and so on. But how?
Sure, me too.
How would you say? Yeah, and that's interesting, man. How would you say? What's your thoughts about the singer in Depeche Mode?
Oh, I think he's great. I love him.
Yeah. Because he
I love that Depeche Mode. In fact, my taste is more poppy than my music.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Funnily enough. And the reason for that is because my introduction to music was only in 2015, which is only 5 years ago.
Okay.
Through my friend who was in music, when I had a desire to release a single and record a song for the marriage equality referendum in Ireland. And so I reached out to a friend of mine in music, and he's very rocky. My friend Peter M. Smith. Yeah. He's got very rock taste, and he had a rock band, and he lent me his band. And so, I embraced it. And I guess it became interesting to some people that me as a gay artist taking on a very macho style became a kind of, of kind of rock became a kind of, I suppose, an interesting thing. But but I am moving into a more Depeche Mode place now, I think, with my newer recordings,
Yeah.
and I think you can hear it in some of the existing material as well. Somebody Nobody is very much a pop ballad, isn't it?
Yeah.
What else is there? Imagery even has some pop power. That whole "Look at Me," you know. So yeah, I'm also moving into songwriting, which I hadn't been doing up until recently. I have been an actor all my life and not a songwriter. My friend Peter is a songwriter and wrote some songs for me. And my producer friend here in London, Herman Stevens, who produced my latest single, "Put Your Lights On," and some other stuff. He wrote "Somebody Nobody," for example. So now I'm working with some of these people to co-write songs. So I've written some lyrics that I'm sending to producers and stuff, and creating co-writes. So, but there won't be one of those out until next year. But yeah,
that's
Depeche
great.
Mode. I just can't get enough. I just can't get enough.
Good.
You know, they don't get on
That's
very
great.
well as a band. You know. Did you know? Did you know that?
Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking. Maybe, it could be that they do their gigs and so on. David Gannon, he has been open writing about his life and
he? I
stories
don't
and so
know.
on.
Okay, because the gap is between David and the rest of the band, isn't it?
I don't know, but
I believe
it could
so.
be the case. Yeah,
I believe so. But you
and
know, it's a hard thing being in a band.
yeah,
And they're in a
it
band.
is.
I mean, they're in a band for what, 30, 40 years now.
Yeah, they're one of the electronic bands that have been sticking around for a long time, similar to Kraftwerk and others. So,
yes.
So that's interesting, and they of course have developed over time.
Yes, they have.
So as I said, like a former synth pop lover, you could say, but still like it. But I don't classify myself because that's the group thinking. And again,
Yes.
are you a hard rocker or you listen to synth pop? But back in my day, in so-called youth, it was like that in a way.
We must have had a similar.
And then you had some.
Are you an 80s kid?
Yeah, depending on how you say it, but I'm born in end of 60s, 68.
I was born.
A contra-revolutionary year.
Well, I'm a year older than you. I was born in 67, summer of love. Yeah. So we had parallel upbringings.
Yep.
Musically
Correct.
speaking.
And then I didn't listen to music so early, but I of course listened to Beatles, things like that. But then later on in the 80s, as I said, I found pop, synth pop, electronic body music, and this kind of style, and liked it for many years. And then, but it was then some dark elements in this field of music that I didn't approve of and liked, and of course I could listen to the music by myself. But one thing was the concerts and others, but it was some elements, as I said, dark elements were there. Could be, but that could be in other things also, like heavy metal and so on. But talking about that, how did it feel to knock down, to joke bone on others in this, your cover of Joy Division?
How did it feel to what? Sorry?
Knock down Bono and B.B. King's When Love Comes. It's like a quote from the press release here, sir.
That's right. Yeah, it felt great to knock Bono off the top of the charts with my debut single.
Friendly
Love
competition.
Will Tear Us Apart cover. A little bit of friendly competition. Well, you know...
like an Irish, yeah?
Yeah, friendly competition among Irish tenors.
That's great.
Actually, what happened was B.B. King had died. I think, if I'm not mistaken, B.B. King died in 2015. And so there was a little surge in downloads of that track.
Imagine. Yeah.
Of that track, When Love Came to Town, which is a fantastic track. You might play it on your show, maybe.
Yeah, that's good. It's good that you bring it up, because I will keep your singing about the Depeche Mode song, and I hope that I'm not violating any copyright, but I'm not allowed to play any music. But I think you could sing a few songs.
I'd be happy to sing any song for you.
Yeah, that's great, especially your own, the one that you have your rights for. That's great.
Are you allowed to put my song in there?
No, not really. If I don't have a written permission by the company or record label, I think.
Okay.
But still, that could be a problem because podcast compared to radio station is a different way.
Is.
So I distribute this podcast through, for example, Spotify. And if I hear music, they have some models of that. They could shut down the whole podcast, even if you so-called have an agreement. So I'm for property rights and for the owners of the artists and others. But I want at the same time promote the artist and so on. So I will include that in the show notes, all the official links that you have. And talking about that in the search, then I found your Instagram account. And then we have maybe a funny story about Mill Street, Ireland.
We do.
And then you could pronounce that in Irish.
You did fine. Shard of Willing. Shard of Willing means Mill Street.
Yeah. So what's that? Because I found your search engine hit result on that. Mill Street, Ireland.
Mill Street is a town. It's called Mill Street Town. So it's not a street, it's a town. Even though it's called Mill Street.
No, I understand.
A small town in the south of Ireland, County Cork. And I think it was maybe 1990 or something like that. The Eurovision was held in my small town where I grew up.
Okay.
So
that's JD. That's another topic.
Oh, you weren't talking about that?
About Eurovision Song Contest. Yeah. We are. Yeah, we could, but I'm not in favor of. I joke now. Do you remember one entry in 1980s by the group Telex from Belgium? They had a song called Eurovision, and it was a parody.
I do remember that one.
It was so good. They won in Belgium, but they was almost last in the competition. So it was a parody about all the things Eurovision. Yeah. And this is not to, how to say, point finger. If you like this kind of music and the whole spiel and the concert and competition, I'm all for it. But it's not my, again, cup of tea, but it's funny. But this thing had come up. So please continue, because that must have been a big thing for a small town like that.
Well, it was a huge thing for a small town. So, but I mean, I wasn't there, but the arena is a show jumping, horse jumping arena where they held it. And my house is, 15 minutes away from, but every house in the town became a bed and breakfast because you had
good business idea.
Great business. Everybody had Eurovision people staying in their house.
Yeah,
and
that's fantastic.
Yeah, except us, because we had a huge family anyway. But and it just brought a lot of excitement into a very small Irish town.
That's great. So then you have a lot of photos also, and the alternative search engine for privacy reason is DuckDuckGo, and there I found your website, JD Kelleher Music. Could you tell a bit about your website there?
My website there's not much on my website right now.
No, I saw that, but it's short.
It's short and sweet.
And I like what do you say? The font, the font of your name there. I like that style.
I think it's like a 1960s or not 1960s, 1920s silent movie, maybe.
Yeah.
Kind of font. Yeah. I got some advice from people, and they said, look, set up a site, and you can develop the site as you develop your music and as you develop your profile. So that's what I did, and I've got a few photos on there, as you can see. And I think there's a link to a few videos there. But no, there's not much on the site, really.
Yep. And that's good.
I was supposed to, YouTube is where I'm at, really.
Okay. And that we could talk about. I'm all for YouTube. I'm all for Google. But I also have some questions. I am thinking of using a service backing up my podcast in the future when I'm available to do that. Because, they had a saying, don't be evil, back in the day. They have removed that tagline. So, So
don't be what? What's the tagline?
Don't be evil. Google had that tagline in the past, but they have removed that tagline. So that you should think about. I mean, who is owning what and what is happening on YouTube. I like YouTube, but it's also a jungle out there.
It's a jungle out there for sure.
Yeah.
But then the whole social digital network of planets out there is a jungle.
Yeah, that's my work because I'm a new media advisor. So how to get through in the jungle? If you should have a machete or a drone, or if you
or
will
just a
stay out of the
spray.
jungle at what? Yeah, something
well,
like
it's
that.
part of it's a big part of my work as well. Actors need profile online.
Yeah.
And musicians maybe even more so. I have more listeners to my music on YouTube than I do, say, on Spotify, but it's something that I want to develop on all fronts.
Yeah. Are you on Bandcamp also?
No, some of my songs are on SoundCloud.
Okay, because I like that. I don't know much about that service, but it's nice service, and you could then put your like profile on it.
Yes,
and
sure,
so on.
I'll check
so
it out.
I've done that, and there you could follow artists and record labels, and you could buy music also, and I think the artists get a good cut from
but
it.
Who buys music,
but
though?
I'm not sure about the details.
Who buys music? Do you buy music?
Yes, if I can. I subscribe to music now. I'm an Apple fanboy, so I subscribe to Apple Music.
And I subscribe to Spotify Music. But I don't. And like you and I growing up, Martin, we had to save our money, and we had to track down music. Yeah. I love the image on your website, on your actually of holding a transistor radio up and recording from it with a microphone of sorts to record the music off the radio. And
it's a character of myself, so it's a fine artist and editorial cartoonist John Cox in America.
But it speaks to how much music we had. It speaks to how much we had to work to listen to music when we were kids, and today you don't need to do that. Correct. So I think you're much more vulnerable to the monster, to the digital monster who's feeding you. If you didn't have to save your money, go to another town where there's a big record store, make a choice, purchase it, put it down, smell it. It was great.
Yeah.
Look at the covers. It was great.
Covers,
and it's a good thing for you. And
it took space also. I liked it, and I have found memories of it. But
of course,
things have developed. But the good thing is like DJs and others are using vinyl, and you could have like special editions and various how you could earning some money and make some if you're like true fans.
Merchandising, isn't it?
Maybe if you do a special.
So if you've got like Dua Lipa, I notice has 15.5 million subscribers on YouTube. I think Billie Eilish has something like 30 million subscribers on YouTube, and Lady Gaga has about 30 million maybe. If they put some merchandise out there, it's going to be a big part of their earn.
It is, and protecting the big artists also, even if they are not, as I said, even if they are not my type of music. But I am very forward to helping the small artists in my way, and I think it's a great opportunity to do that. Do you know the band Marillion, symphony rock or progressive rock?
Right.
I listened to that very much back in the day, and I have a good friend that listened to them. And it was this very iconic singer in the past called Fish, but now it's a new one that have led the band forward, and they're very in tune to their fans. They do like a Christmas single. And they have a magazine. They were one of the first that have a web scene and a website called the Marillion Web. So they are very in tune with their audience and the fans. So they could have pre-orders with their music, and they're in contact with their fans.
That's very important.
So that's probably my advice and recipe to try to get close to them. And that's how we are talking now. If I haven't tweeted about listen to a new song by Rosalla.
Exactly.
You and I probably haven't talked because it's Jonathan Dahl that's connected us together, and he reached out to me. Do you want to have Rosalla on your show? And I said, wow, yeah, of course. That would be a great honor. And you and I don't know each other so much, but now we have some kind of relation. So that's a neat thing. So it's good to connect.
Yes, it's good to connect. And there are real people listening, and you know what you've just spoken about. It's about merchandising or whatever else is supporting big artists and small artists. And thank you for having me on today. But it's about reaching audience, isn't it? It's about reaching people and growing audience that can listen to your music or buy your T-shirt
and have a conversation.
Or your And I think like Marillion there. And have a conversation. Like Marillion there, it's very important to respect the people who subscribe to, your music and your entertainment, and certainly over numbers of years in their case.
Yes.
Did you listen to the Human League? That was my first album. Dare was the first album I bought on vinyl.
I wouldn't say, because of course they're probably not listening, but there you could see, because I think was it Human League, also some other band that came long time, not the end of a career, because they are still around, I think. But but then if it's for members and what kind of, and they play the old songs, and it is nostalgic then. Then of course it's the performance. But still, they will always be somewhere in your place. Like Ultravox now have a anniversary. Is it 40 years or something like that? So
okay, well, it will be 40 years. And then you have someone like Debbie Harry, who's still very current in many ways.
Wow,
she did a duet with Joan Jett.
So
did you know that?
You have to send me the link. So
that's a good one
in the show notes here.
I will.
So what more? Because you're doing lots of. We have an expression that in Swedish, but how do you say that in English? That you have lots of strings on your guitar or your instrument.
I have many strings. It's very similar. We have many strings on our bow. What they mean by many strings on your bow is your violin bow, the stick for your violin. Yeah, so it's very similar. I do have a few strings to my bow, but things have changed a lot recently with the pandemic, haven't they? The whole world has changed, and people's priorities maybe have changed, and maybe the arts have become more important to people because they've had to spend a lot of time at home. So yes, I have I have my agency that I work 4 hours a day, like running the office of my agency at home. I have my music. I'm an actor who does auditions. I'm not a famous actor. I've done a lot of very interesting and sometimes profile stuff.
Yeah,
but
we will include that in the show notes. Yeah, I'm not a movie buff, but I have a good friend in America called Scott Holleran, and he's giving me good and great movie tips there. For example, one of my favorite movies is Chocolat with Hallström. Do you know that one?
Juliette Binoche, is it? Yes, is that also?
I don't think
no, that's not.
Johnny Depp is there.
Is he in it too?
He's not the thing. The big thing is that it's about ideas, a movie about ideas, and it's about open up a chocolaterie during Lent, and then the mother and the child is coming to this small French town, and then the mayor, but also he's also responsible for the church. He see the fight between a battle between chocolate and religion.
Chocolate and God.
It's so good. The battle there. So, and then, of course, it's good music very into it also, like the movie Swing Kids. Have you seen that?
I don't watch a lot of movies in the
these
last,
are old. So
in recent
I have
years.
to get, tips. These are like 10, 20 years, some of them. So I don't watch regular movies. But could you tell a bit more about your acting career and your thoughts about that?
I can indeed. Well, I started, I went to, from the small town of Mill Street, where the Eurovision landed one year, I moved to a bigger city called Cork, and I went to university there, and I studied English and Irish and sociology, and it was there during my college years that I discovered acting, really, and I used acting as a way to make friends and meet people. But I also fell in love with the kind of the art of it. and it went very much hand in hand with the English literature that I was studying very often, and I developed a passion for it. And before I left university, I was cast in a fledgling company to tour America with some Irish plays, and so I actually went straight from college into a theatre company on tour in America, over to Boston and New Haven. You mentioned earlier. We were at a university in New Haven, actually. Can you remember the name of the big Ivy League one there?
No, I don't, because I studied in New Hampshire.
Okay. New Hampshire, was it?
Southern New Hampshire University.
I think we were there as well.
Yeah, it's
is Brown University there?
Yeah, it's probably in. I should, know about it, but it's close by there. The New England side.
We performed. We performed in New England in the East Coast, and we were due to perform in the West Coast as well. But our little fledgling company went broke.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's great that you came.
But it was a great experience. Yeah, exactly. And I came back to Ireland and I became an actor then. I thought, this is what I want to do, and started doing auditions. I worked in theatre and education for a while. I moved from Cork to different places around the country, and eventually to Dublin, the capital. And eventually from Dublin, I did an audition for a play that landed me in the West End over here in London. And so I crossed that very small channel, but big cultural distance between Ireland and the UK, and became an immigrant in another country in 1992. And I've been here ever since, and I love it here in London.
And you work there with the agency there. Do you want to tell a little bit about that? Please continue.
Well, I will. Yeah. So I worked in theatre most of my life. From when I came first to London, I worked with the National Theatre and the Royal Shakespeare Company. And I went on tour around the country in various theatrical productions. I worked on little pieces of film and TV along the way as well. And I also, jumped back and forward between Ireland and the UK. I would go back to do some work in Ireland as well at times. But London became my home. And yes, as we spoke about earlier, about 10 years ago, I started my own agency for actors, for immigrant actors, specializing in immigrant actors in London. And I run all of these strands to my bow together today. So, yeah, it's great. It's a life in the arts.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Thank you. You have to then also plug a bit and talk about your latest thing here, your debut EP, The Ugly Tree. What's it all about?
The Ugly Tree is my debut EP, like you just said. I'm going to spell my name for people in case they want to look it up. So my name is JD. JD has no dots and no spaces. And then my surname is Kelleher, Kelleher. And my debut EP is on Spotify or Apple Music or any other platform where you listen to your music. It's also on YouTube. And it is a collection of 5 songs. 2 of those songs are cover tracks. Love Will Tear Us Apart, the Joy Division track from 1980, and Blitzkrieg Bop, which I think is from 1977, and I recorded it in 2017, so it was a 40-year anniversary. And then 3 original tunes written by my Irish friend Peter, and it's a debut EP. It's me in a kind of a rock pop indie vibe. I think the like you said earlier, it's not your cup of tea, but which is a good way of putting it. It's not everybody's cup of tea, but I think anybody who listens to it will enjoy it. And it's it's good quality music. So that's the debut EP, The Ugly Tree, 5 songs.
And talking about tea, Jonathan said you have to ask the guest. So now he's almost like my co-host now, or sidekick, or giving me prompt or things. You have to ask JD about what's his favorite tea. You have talked about the other kind of soft drink now, but what as an Irish, they have Irish breakfast, and you have Scottish breakfast and English breakfast. What's your favorite
tea? Is like
tea?
Tea is like being Irish. I mean, tea to Ireland is like the potato is to Ireland. And you and I are 70s tea drinkers. So I don't know about you, but we used leaf tea, that you spoon into the pot. Some people still do, but back in the day, oh, you still do?
I do that.
Okay, so the first...
I have a podcast about that.
Steeping,
steeping the tea leaves.
Or soaking the leaves. But my mother or my grandmother or my father indeed, or any of us, we would first of all rinse the pot to make it hot with hot water and throw that away, and then put in the tea, and then fill the pot, and then you have to let that sit there for 3 or 4 minutes.
Yep.
And that's called drawing the tea. So drawing the tea out of the tea leaves. So there was a ritual before. And I remember when paper tea came in, and I remember my auntie would complain that she could taste the paper, which was funny, I thought. Tea is...
That's a point of it.
So tea bags came in, I don't know when, sometime in the early 80s, was it? Late 70s, maybe?
Yeah, it was also, if it's true story, it's almost like an experiment or failure, or could say, because it was like tea samples, and then somebody put them in the teacup and said, "Oh, we could use it. This is pretty convenient."
Oh my God!
But it's very great how you explained, almost like a ceremony or a ritual, and take your time, take the time.
Take the time.
But I'm not against tea bags.
No, I'm not.
As you said, the character that I have on my podcast, Jon Cox, he has, for my first book on black tea, he has illustrated the perfect kappa. And there it has the tea bag symbol and the cross over it, and that you should use a teapot and so on. So that's great to hear your lovely description of
I like tea.
Back in the day. And I think you could still do that. So,
yes, I think
So do you have any special flavor or blend?
I'm a traditional.
I like black tea.
Do you like black tea?
Yeah.
I like strong.
Yeah, the plain. Yeah.
Yes, I like strong plain tea, quite strong actually, but it needs a dash of milk for me. Yeah. Although I can drink it black.
Like Builder's tea. Yeah.
Strong. Well, yes, a little bit. I think Builder's tea, they would probably put too much milk in.
Oh, okay, yeah. So a
splash of milk, so it's quite a dark color. Yeah. But yes, I do love tea, traditional tea. I can drink a peppermint tea sometimes.
Do you have any favorite tea shops in London?
No, I haven't been. I haven't been to a particular tea shop.
Or did you buy it online nowadays?
Yeah, like everything else, it comes online, isn't it? There's a lot of teas in my kitchen because I live with 2 other guys, but I don't really use them.
Yeah.
Do you like tea? I mean, I like coffee too.
Yeah. I'm drinking coffee like espresso with milk and cortado and macchiato.
Yeah, Americano.
But I'm a big tea drinker and a tea enthusiast, and as I said, I have a podcast in Swedish and English.
Tea and scones.
So, but then we should. Yes, tea and scones. Yeah, that's tea and crumpets, tea and scones, and afternoon tea. So maybe we should cook something up, JD, a special tea blend.
We should the music blend.
Artists. Yeah, for
the immigrant.
Yeah, the immigrant blend. We will find something.
Cool.
Yeah. That's great. Do you have anything else at the end here?
I want to
say wrap it up or sing a tune or from your original scores or stuff like that, because that's you're allowed.
I'm not going to do a cappella here.
Song, you could.
I might sing a bit of ABBA for you. My, at Waterloo, Napoleon did surrender. Oh yeah. And I have met my destiny in quite a similar way. There you go. That's all you're getting from me. I love ABBA.
That's nice.
I love ABBA. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah. Great to hear. So, again, if you have any ending notes or anything that you want to say about your
Thank
your
you.
life, career, your sites.
Thank you to anyone who happens to find their way to this podcast. You're very welcome. Do please check out my music on Spotify and follow me on all the social media places and watch my videos on YouTube. Thank you very much. And thank you, Martin, for having me.
Great.
Okay, good.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
And talk to you soon again. Cheers.